Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about adjective endings. As we know, adjectives are words that describe a noun by indicating its attribute. In Russian noun phrases, adjectives always precede nouns. In other words, they come before the noun they describe. We will start by reviewing what we already know about noun endings. As you remember, Russian nouns are categorized into three genders: masculine, feminine, and neuter, and have singular and plural forms. This table presents a quick overview of noun endings. As we can see, in singular form, masculine nouns normally end in a consonant, feminine in a vowel a or ya, and neuter in a vowel o or ye. Plural endings for nouns include I, and a. Now that we have reviewed noun endings, let's move on to the next slide. First, let's read these examples. Какой старый телевизор? Какая красивая кухня? Какое маленькое окно? Какие хорошие комнаты? If we look at the column on the right, we can see that it represents the genders of nouns in these short phrases by using pronouns: он for masculine, она for feminine, оно for neuter, and они for plural. Notice that the adjectives preceding these nouns all have different endings, depending on the gender and number of the noun. These endings, conventionally called basic adjective endings, are presented in this table that you can use as a quick guide. Note that the basic adjective ending in plural, ye, is the same for all genders. The next slide will show you how to change adjectives so that they would conform to the nouns they describe. First, you take the dictionary form of the adjective, which is in masculine form. Next, you drop the masculine ending, and what you have left is the root or stem of that adjective. Finally, you can add the ending you need, a feminine ending in this example, to the stem to form an adjective. Of course, Russian doesn't make things easy, so we will cover a number of additional rules on adjective endings that would go together with the basic adjective endings that we just learned. First, when you encounter an adjective in masculine form with a stressed ending, you will note a slight difference. Thus, for masculine adjectives with end stress, instead of the basic ending y, the ending will always be oy. Examples include adjectives highlighted in yellow on this slide. Это ваш новый телевизор. Какой он большой. Телевизор старый и плохой. Марат Азатович не молодой. The next rule is called a 7-letter spelling rule. This rule mandates that if the stem or root of an adjective ends in one of the 7 consonants, k, g, h, sh, sh, ch, or zh, then write e instead of y for masculine and ie instead of uye for plural. Therefore, this rule applies to masculine adjectives and plural adjectives. Look at the examples highlighted in blue on this slide. Комнаты красивые. Они маленькие, но хорошие. Дом красивый. Он маленький, но хороший. Finally, we have another rule called a 5-letter spelling rule, as it lists 5 consonants that this rule applies to. This rule reads: most neuter adjective endings are spelled oye, regardless of word stress. However, if the adjective stem ends in zh, sh, sh, ch, or ts, then the ending is based on word stress. After these 5 letters, keep oye only if the ending is stressed. Otherwise, spell it yeye. As we can see, this rule applies only to neuter adjectives, and specifically those whose stem ends in one of the listed 5 consonants. An example on this slide includes the following phrase: Кресло большое, но не очень хорошее. Now that we have covered Russian adjective endings in both singular and plural, as well as all of the corresponding rules that apply to them, Please complete activities presented in the course module on Canvas. These activities will provide you with an opportunity to practice recognizing and forming adjectives in Russian in accordance with relevant grammar rules. As always, feel free to reach out to me if you have any additional questions or need any help.